Hey there friends, how's it going today? David Potts with Song Notes here, and I have a lesson coming your way today for Scarlet Begonias by the Grateful Dead. Now I'm going to be teaching you the wrong way to play this song, and I say that half joking. When I say the wrong way, I'm going to be doing a capo 4th fret version on an acoustic guitar, and I'm going to be coming at this from the standpoint of making this song as accessible as possible, right? Using these easier chord shapes, a G, a C, an F, a D, right? This allows you to kind of get into this song with a lower skill level, right? If you're just getting started with guitar, if you don't have the Bob Weir and Jerry Garcia chops and you don't want to mess with the B and the A and the E and the F sharp bar chords way up the neck, which is how they play it, my version will be your friend, okay? Capo 4th fret will let you play along with the Dead. It will let you play along with my jam track, right? Which is in the same key as the Dead's version. And then it also lets you play those super fun riffs that you hear in the verse, you hear in the bridge, you hear in the ending of the song. All of them are playable in open position. It's a tremendously fun way to play this, right? So again, this is something that I looked around on YouTube. Virtually every other lesson I saw is teaching this, no capo, key of B, all bar chords on an electric guitar. I want to get just real simple with it. Acoustic, campfire friendly. You can still play the riffs. You can still play along with the Dead. It's still Scarlet Begonias. So if that sounds interesting to you, come along with me and I'll teach you this one. This one's going out by request. I've had quite a few Grateful Dead requests in the past year, and I'm happy to return to their catalog and add one of these dear songs to it. So let's get into it. Songnotes.net, y'all. That's my website. All my bonus stuff for this lesson, right? My practice notes, a link out to a lyric sheet, a play-along jam track, a sort of zoomed-in play-along cover with no singing. It's all there for you to help you out. So be sure to check that out. It's a great way to follow along with what I teach outside of the glowing screen of YouTube. So let's get into it and have some fun with Scarlet Begonias. I'll see you on the other side. Let's go. All right, so when it comes to the capo position we're going to be using and the chords we're going to use, here's the overall summary, right? I'm going to be teaching this capo 4th fret and use these chord shapes. So it's our G chord, our C chord, our F chord, and our D chord, okay? Now, these are all relatively straightforward beginner kind of cowboy chords, right? A couple notes I want to say here. For the G, you're gonna see me throughout this lesson playing the G with this 2-finger version where it's just ring finger and pinky. What I'm doing here is I'm muting the 5th string. I'm not pushing the 5th string into the fretboard. So I'm playing 3rd fret, muted 5th string, and then the rest of the chord's the same. You could play a G like this if you want. I'm just noting, again, for clarity, this is what I'm doing for my G. I recommend it. It's very easy to do. It's just a 2-finger chord. It sounds great, right? Now for the F chord, I'm never doing a full 6-string barred F chord. I'm just using this middle 4-string version only, right? 3rd, 2nd, 1st frets on the middle 4 strings. I'm muting the thickest and thinnest strings. They're not making noise. So that way I can strum all the strings and I'm getting just this, you know, sort of baby or simplified or minified F, okay? I have many lessons teaching you this over in my beginner chord guide, so check that out if you need help with that one, right? And the C and the D are very straightforward. So the reason I'm doing this, again, is it gives us accessible, easier to play chords. We can play along with the Dead's version. We can still play the riffs, right? And if you do want to map this to what, you know, Jerry and Bob are playing, they're doing B, E, A, and F sharp, wherever I play G, C, F, and D. And you can see in this diagram how those map to each other, right? Now let's talk about the rhythm and the strumming. I want to talk about this groove, right? This song's interesting. It kind of has a slight reggae-ish feel to it, right? In that the off beats are emphasized, are accented, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... That's what I'm going to sort of choose to embrace when I approach the strumming. You can strum it however you want. You don't have to do what I'm showing you here, but this is what I recommend if you want to capture their vibe, okay? Now, the pattern I'm going to use, the main pattern, is going to be a bass down, up, down, up, bass down, up, down, up, bass down, up, down, up, bass down, up, down, up. Now, there's something I'm doing here you might be noticing, which is giving it its distinct sound. When I say bass, I'm talking about the bass note of whatever chord we're playing. So if we're playing a G, that's our bass note. You just do that first count, bass down, up, bass down, up, bass down, up, down, up, right? You get it. After that bass note strum, I'm doing a sort of slightly louder, emphasized, accented strum. And then I'm silencing all the strings with my fretting hand. And I'm doing that by sort of just relaxing my hand, keeping my fingers in contact with the strings, and bringing these fingers down into the string. So all the strings are silenced. Okay? This might take some practice to get used to get comfortable with, to get familiar with. But what this does, the reason we do this, is it really punctuates that first loud strum, and it kind of gives us that syncopated, almost slightly reggae-ish feel. Okay, and then after that loud strum that we silence, I'm doing a light up, down, up. Okay, it's a lighter strum. It's on the thinnest 3 or 4 strings, nice and light, and then you repeat that main pattern. Now you're going to notice here, if you see it written up as follows, you see these scary 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... That is just rhythmic subdivisions to help us refer to specific parts of the beats, right? There's 16 of them, so these are called 16th notes. This is a 16th note strum, the way I'm counting things. Don't get worried about and lost in those weeds and details. Just notice that for every 4-count measure, we're doing this main strumming pattern twice, okay? So... 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So one other quick note about this strum, if you want, you can add this little quick bass line tag to the end of each G major strum. Right? Hear that? What this is doing is taking Sublime's cover of this song, From 40 Ounces to Freedom. Such a good cover. And the bass guitar in that version does this. So we're effectively integrating that into our guitar strum. So you start off with the exact G major strum I taught you. And in the second half, we're going to do a bass, down, up, bass, 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 down, up, bass, down, up, bass, 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 down, up, bass, down, up, bass, bass, bass. You don't need to do this, and if you do it, you don't need to do it all the time. You can sort of selectively do it in the intro, in between verses, whenever you want, right? I just want to include this little part of my lesson because it's in my practice notes, and it's a real fun way to tap into that spirit of the Sublime version, which I love so much. So that's the strum. Give it some time. Don't worry about the silencing the strings if it gives you a hard time. You don't need to do it. Again, I just like to do it because it kind of leans into and steers into the rhythmic feel of the Deads version. Okay, so that's the strumming pattern that I'm going to be using. Now let's move into the verse. Okay, so the verse of the song is great because it's just 2 chords. We're going to be going between a C, which is 1 measure, and a G, which is another measure, right? And then 4 counts of C, and back to 4 counts of G. Now if we map it out to the lyrics, it would be, as I was walking down Grosvenor Square, chill to the weather, but a nip to the air. Okay, so rhythmically pretty straightforward, but this is where we're going to introduce the riff, right? The main, what I'm calling the G7 riff. Okay, so it happens over the G chord, and the riff itself, okay, it's just those notes. 3rd fret of the low E string. We're going to go from the 1st to 2nd fret of the 5th string here, okay? Now you can slide, you can hammer on. When I say slide, you could do that, right? Or you could do a hammer on, like that, where you sort of pluck the 1st fret note and then bring a finger down on that 2nd fret note to sort of give it a clean sound. Then we go to the 4th string open, repeat that note, 2nd fret and 3rd fret, okay? A 10 seconds of music theory lesson. These are basically, those are the notes in the G major chord. This note, this is the flat 3rd, which we're going to move up to the major 3rd, right? So this is evocative of the blues scale, the major blues scale, where you have this blue note, right? Flat 3rd to the major 3rd. This is the 5th, this is the major 6th, and this is the flat 7th, right? Which is what dominant 7th chords are built with. So the G7 chord, this note right here is an F. That gives, when you add that note to the G major chord, you get a G7 chord. And that's why I'm calling this the G7 riff, okay? Now the tricky part about this will be playing this rhythmically in the groove and going from strumming into this riff and then back to strumming. Okay, here's what that would sound like with no singing, right? So C to G to C to G. Want to put on my practice track over on my lesson webpage, it'll let you practice, you can practice this over that track. It's a great thing to practice or to sort of give you something to stay in time with. Here's what it would sound like if you sing, right? Let me do the intro, kind of set the mood. All right, here we go. As I was walking down Ravender Square, not a chill to the weather, but a nip to the air. Okay, so that's going to be the verse, and then that's going to take us into what I'm going to call the chorus of this song. So the chorus chord progression is going to look like this. We're going to use that F chord, so get ready to get used to this 4-finger version of F or whatever you want to use here. And let me play through this doing down strums only on the quarter notes only, just to give you an idea of the sort of rhythmic transition of things. Everything has 4 counts per measure, but those C's and those G's are going to happen really quick in those first couple measures, right? So, from another direction, she was calling my eye. Might have been an illusion, but I might as well try. Might as well try. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And we go back to the verse, right? She had rings on her fingers and bells on her shoes. Now, as far as strumming the chorus, we're going to use that same pattern. Remember the pattern we use in the verse, right? Bass down, up, bass down, up, bass down. We're going to use the same pattern, but on the C to the G, where we have this quick change where they're happening for just one beat each, we're going to use this sort of shortened strum pattern, which is going to be a bass down up. Okay, so wherever you're on a chord for one beat only, one quarter note only, it's going to be a bass down up for that count. Okay, so that would mean we'd have our F to C to G to F to C, F to C to G to F to C, and then end it on G. Okay? Now notice how whenever I'm on a chord for 2 or more counts, I'm going to use, again, that main pattern, but whenever I'm on that C and the G, we're going to do the quicker strum. Okay? So this one might be one you have to give some practice to. Again, check out my practice track. But let me show you how this would sound if we do, let me do the verse into the chorus so you can hear the strumming difference. Okay? And I'm not going to play the riffs during the verse just to keep things simple, right? So, first verse coming up. Okay, then I'm going to go into the chorus. As I was walking down Ravender Square, not a chill to the weather, but a nip to the air. From another direction, she was calling my eye. It could be an illusion, but I might as well try. Might as well try. Okay, and then you go back to the G and cleanse the palate. And then you're going to start the whole verse over again. She had rings on her fingers and bells on her shoes. So the cool part about the chorus is there's no riffing you have to worry about. It's just all strumming over the F, C, and G chords, right? And you just have to get used to those sort of quicker measures of the C and the G. So then we'll move into the bridge of this song. The bridge is going to introduce some new riffs, and it's also going to have some weird measures that have less than 4 counts and some of those quick chord changes that we saw in the chorus, right? This is going to be a little bit tricky rhythmically because anytime you're used to 4 counts per measure, and then all of a sudden you have a measure that only has 3 counts, you have to kind of reset things rhythmically in your body when you go to the next 4 count measure. That's how it is for me at least, right? So let me play through you this first line of the bridge. And I'm just going to do the cymbal down strums on each quarter note, right? And you're going to see what I mean here. So lyrically, this is, well, I ain't often right, but I ain't never been wrong. It seldom works out the way it does in this song. Okay, that's going to be like this. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, F, C, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3. Then the next line. D, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, F, C, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. To G, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so lots of weird sounding stuff there. I'll play it with the riff in a second and it'll sound a bit more natural. But the tricky part rhythmically, before we even get to that riff, is that measure where you're on G, then F for one count, and then you do a C. You go back to 4 count measures, right? So again, you just have to get used to the strumming of the D. It's gonna be a bass down, up, bass down, G. And then for that F, we're just gonna do a bass down, up, right? Or a down, down, up. And then you go to a C. And then where you get back to the C is where the riff will happen, right? So if I did the strumming, it's going to be, well, I ain't often right, but I ain't never been wrong. It still don't work out the way it does in this song. 'Cause once in a while you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. Okay, what's going on with those riffs there? So now the cool thing about these 4 riffs is that you're doing the exact same riff per each chord when it comes to the sort of intervals of the riff based on the root note. In other words, for the C. Okay, I'll teach you the tabs and walk you through it in a second, but we're going from the root, sliding from the flat third to the third, to the 5th, to the 6th, to the 1. So this is kind of like a major pentatonic if we get rid of the 2nd degree, right? And we add the flat third, which kind of gives us the major blues scale, right? You do the same thing with the D. Flat third to third, 5, 6, 1. Then to the F, 1, flat third to third, 5, 6, 1, and the G. Okay, so this is one of those things where being familiar with your sort of your cage shapes, your cage positions, and understanding the intervals or the scale degrees within each position is going to help you just immediately recognize what you're playing with these riffs. And if you practice your arpeggios or your scales, it'll help you that much quicker learn all this. But if you don't know all that stuff, that's fine. I'll walk you through it here. For the C, think of a C major shape with your hands. You're going to play the root note. And before you play this 2nd fret note on the 4th string, you're going to slide up to it, right? From 1st to 2nd fret on the 4th string, okay? Then you play the open 3rd string, 2nd fret 3rd string, and then end on this C root note, which is the 1st fret of the 2nd string. Repeat that, all you need to get used to it. You also could hammer on that 2nd note, or that 2nd to 3rd note. Or you could slide it. Okay, that is your C riff. Now what about the D riff? This one's a bit trickier. 4th string is where you start for the first 3 notes. Open 4th string, and then we're going to slide or hammer on from 3rd to 4th fret on the 4th string. Then we're going to go on the 3rd string from 2nd to 4th fret, and to end on this D root note. Okay. That's the D riff. Now the F riff starts on the 4th string 3rd fret, slide or hammer on from the 3rd string, 1st to 2nd fret, to 1st fret of the 2nd string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then 1st fret of the thinnest string. And the G riff is the exact same thing, but all notes are 2 frets higher. So 5th fret, now this took me a long time to get seamlessly comfortable with all these, but if you want to play this in time, you're going to have to do these without messing up, staying in the groove, which is really tricky. But here's what the full bridge would sound like if you put it all together, right? Well, I ain't never been right and I ain't never been wrong. It seldom works out the way it does in this hang out on G there, and you can do some solo riffing or just noodling or just continue with the next verse immediately. You don't need to get fancy with it. If you can get fancy, that's great, right? But if you want to keep it campfire friendly, you just move along back to the verse and you'll be in good shape, right? There ain't nothing wrong with the way she moves. So one quick note about this C riff that happens in the first line of the bridge. You don't need to play it. You can just strum a regular C instead and not do the riff at all, okay? If you listen to the Dead's album version of this, you don't hear them do the riff here. But if you listen to the Cornell version, you do hear the riff, okay? So it's up to you whether or not you want to play the C riff for 2 measures in a row when you're playing the bridge. One other tip when you're playing the C riff, you can also, instead of doing this first fret to second fret, hammer on or slide, you can omit that first fret note altogether and just do basically root note of the C, open 4th string, hammer onto the 2nd fret, right? And then on the 3rd string, open 2nd fret, and then the root note up here. It's the My Girl intro. It's the C major pentatonic scale. It's easier to play, and you also can kind of get strummy with it. Kinda, right? But you also, if you want, can do that first fret to second fret slide. It brings in a bit of bluesy flavor. It's more difficult. I think it sounds better, but you don't have to do it, right? And like I said, you also can omit this riff altogether if you just want to strum. So that's how you do the bridge thing. Again, give those riffs some time. Those were the things that took me the longest to get comfortable with when I was playing this song. Just take them one at a time, repeat each one over and over again, then move to the next one. Go through it slow, get those right notes right, and then move through it from C to D to F to G. Okay? And then finally we have this ending riff, right? Okay? This is, I think of it as 4 phrases. The first phrase is just the first 4 notes of a G major chord, if you go from thickest to thinnest. But then we're going to end it with this note right here, this F note, which would give us a G7, right? Okay? And then from this note, you're going to go from this 3rd fret on the 4th string, take your finger off, play the 4th string, put the finger back. Okay? So, open 4th string, 3rd fret 4th string, 2nd fret 3rd string, open 3rd string, okay? Practice that first half by itself, okay? And then after that, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret on the 4th, 3rd, 2nd string. Think of this is an F major triad, right? And then you're going to sort of open 2nd and 3rd string, and then put these fingers where they would go for a C chord. That's how I think of it. So the way I think of this chord really is this whole riff. Starts off with a G, then we're going to hint around this F major triad. You can see that second phrase as really just an F major triad where some fingers are removed sometime. Right? Take off the 4th string, put it back, put the 2nd fret finger down on the 3rd string, then take it off, and then put the F major triad back down altogether. Then take it off altogether, and then put down these fingers as if they were playing a C major chord. Okay? So in rhythmically, accurately, it would sound like this. And G is a sort of implied ending of the song. And then you just sing into Fire on the Mountain, and you're in good shape, right? So that's all you need to play this song: the intro, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, and the ending, and you have everything you need. So over on my website, you'll find my full playthrough cover from beginning to end, where I put it all together, right? And that's going to be using the practice track in the background, so you can see how this feels. And then you also will have the video practice track you can use. It has drums and bass, which mimic the chord changes, but then you can follow along with the chord progression on screen, and either using a simple strum or a complicated strum, or just doing no strumming at all and just doing riffing, you can play along with the song and practice it, right? So that's all over there for you. I have my practice notes as well, print friendly, showing you the strumming stuff for each section, these riffs tabbed out, and some of the capo and chord stuff as well. And I have a link over to lyric sheets if you need lyrics also. All right, so I hope this was helpful. I will see you in the next one. If you have any questions, let me know. Check out my other Dead songs. I have Uncle John's Band, and there's one other one I have, Ripple. I'm a big Ripple fan. And there's plenty others of theirs I'd like to learn eventually. But hey, Scarlet Begonias is the one that I got to today. So hope you dug this, and let me know what questions you have, as I said, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Take care, my friends, and bye-bye.